Wait. Stop scrolling. Drop the coffee. Turn the volume up. Because Pierre just broke his silence. And what he revealed about why he walked away from Teyana Taylor is not the fairy tale, busy schedules, explanation the internet has been spoon-feeding itself. No, this is messier. This is louder. This is the kind of truth that detonates timelines. For months, we were told it was mutual, respectful, mature. Two rising stars parting ways because of timing. That soft PR breakup language that sounds polished, safe, and heartbreak neutral. But now, insiders are whispering about a private conversation that turned into an explosive confrontation. Now there's talk of leaked texts, emotional ultimatums, a studio session meltdown, and a final phone call that allegedly ended with Aaron saying, "I can't compete with your world." Compete? Or with her world? What does that mean? Because from the outside, they looked unstoppable. Red carpets glowing, album trailer kisses that felt dangerously real, birthday tributes that screamed endgame, complex interviews where she called him gentle and safe. Safe doesn't usually end in silence. Safe doesn't usually end in unfollow rumors and deleted highlights. And yet, it did. Sources claim the real fracture began during awards season. Teyana stepping into rooms that shifted her entire career trajectory. Oscar conversations, fashion house whispers, international press, the kind of elevation that changes gravity. And allegedly, Aaron struggled with the shift. Not because he isn't successful, not because he isn't talented, but because the spotlight moved. And when the spotlight moves in Hollywood, so does power. Then came the rumored studio argument. A producer allegedly overheard raised voices after a late-night session. Words like priority, sacrifice, and public image reportedly flying across the room. One insider claims Teyana accused him of shrinking when she expands. Shrinking. That word alone has the internet in a chokehold. Because if that's true, this wasn't about distance. This was about ego. But wait, it gets deeper. A now-deleted tweet from a verified entertainment journalist hinted that Aaron felt their relationship had started to feel performative, that appearances were strategic, that intimacy was getting filtered through branding. And if he believed that, if he believed love was becoming content, that changes everything. Then last night, Aaron allegedly told a close friend during a private event, "I loved her. I just couldn't live inside the noise." The noise? What noise? Public pressure, industry politics, or something else entirely? Because here's where the plot thickens, dramatically. A blind item circulating on two major gossip forums claims there was tension over a third party. No confirmed cheating, no confirmed affair, but a powerful executive who allegedly grew very protective over Teyana's next chapter. Protective enough to cause discomfort. Protective enough to spark insecurity. Protective enough to trigger a final confrontation that ended with a door closing and not reopening. Now fans are spiraling. Some are defending Aaron, saying he chose peace over chaos. Others are rallying behind Teyana, insisting no man should feel threatened by a woman's rise. Celebrity friends are quietly liking posts. Subtle support. Strategic silence. The kind of digital breadcrumbs that mean everything in Hollywood. And the biggest twist? Neither of them has publicly denied any of it. No joint statement, no "we're still friends," just distance. So here's the question burning through social media right now. Did Aaron leave because he couldn't handle her ascent? Or did he leave because love started feeling like a brand partnership instead of a connection? Because if what he revealed is true, if he walked away not from her, but from the pressure surrounding her, then this wasn't heartbreak. It was self-preservation. And that's a far more dangerous narrative. This isn't a breakup. This is a collision between ambition and intimacy. And if even half of what's circulating is real, the next revelation won't just sting. It will expose who really ended it and why. So the room reportedly froze when Pierre finally stopped dodging and started talking. Not in a red carpet soundbite, not in a polished magazine quote, but in what insiders are calling a private but not private enough conversation at an industry dinner that quickly spiraled into the most dissected confession of the year. Because when he leaned back in his chair and said, "I didn't leave because I stopped loving her," every ear at that table locked in. Stopped loving her. That means he did love her. Past tense, present emotion, complicated grammar, and that's where the chaos begins. For months, the public narrative around Teyana Taylor and Aaron's split has been neat, digestible, respectable. Two powerhouses, two rising trajectories, timing, distance, schedules, growth. But allegedly, according to someone seated 2 chairs down that night, Aaron followed that sentence with something far less polished. "I left because I was disappearing." Disappearing, not overshadowed, not betrayed. Disappearing. That word detonated. Because disappearing suggests erasure, suggests emotional suffocation, suggests that somewhere between the Vanity Fair appearances and the album trailer kiss, he started feeling like a supporting character in someone else's storyline. And in Hollywood, identity is oxygen. Sources claim the fracture didn't start loud, it started subtle. Award season, press runs, endless interviews where Teyana was glowing, unstoppable, magnetic. Every room she entered shifted, executives leaned in, stylists hovered, directors lingered. Aaron, meanwhile, was balancing his own rising profile. Franchise commitments, international shoots, scripts being negotiated behind closed doors. He wasn't small, he wasn't struggling, but allegedly, he felt the axis tilt. One insider described it as 2 meteors trying to share the same orbit. Romantic at first, catastrophic eventually. The tension reportedly escalated during a late-night studio session connected to Teyana's creative rollout. Aaron had dropped by, supportive, present, smiling, until the vibe changed. According to someone who claims to have been in the building, a heated exchange happened behind a closed door after a strategic conversation about branding and public appearances. "You don't understand how this works," one voice allegedly said. "I understand more than you think," another reportedly replied. And then the line that allegedly cut through the room like glass. "I refuse to audition for space in your life." Audition, space, life. That's not about scheduling, that's about hierarchy. From that point forward, insiders say the energy shifted. Not dramatically at first, just enough to be felt. Fewer joint appearances, less visible affection. A birthday post that felt slightly formal. And then the Instagram silence. Fans clocked it before the blogs did. They always do. No more story reposts. No more subtle inside jokes. No more background cameos. And then came the rumoured final phone call. According to a source who claims to have seen a fragment of a text exchange, the breakup wasn't explosive. It was restrained, painfully restrained. "I can't build with you if I feel like I'm competing with your future," Aaron allegedly wrote. Competing with your future. That's not jealousy. That's insecurity meeting ambition head-on. But here's where it twists. Another insider insists it wasn't Aaron who initiated the final distance. They claim Teyana confronted him first, accused him of shrinking emotionally when her career expanded publicly, accused him of retreating instead of celebrating, accused him of loving the version of her that was accessible, not the version that was ascending. And if that accusation is true, then this breakup wasn't abandonment, it was collision. Because when a woman rises, the men around her either elevate or evaporate. Social media exploded the moment whispers of his disappearing comment hit the blogs. Half the internet rallied behind Aaron, arguing that men are allowed to feel overwhelmed in high-powered relationships. The other half defended Teyana fiercely, pointing out that women are constantly expected to shrink for comfort. Celebrity friends began moving carefully. A subtle like here, an unfollow there. One actress posted, If he feels small when you grow, let him feel small somewhere else. No names, but the timing was deafening. Meanwhile, Aaron reportedly told another close confidant that the relationship began to feel observed, not just by fans, by the industry. He allegedly felt that every appearance carried narrative weight, every touch was analysed, every smile dissected. And when love starts feeling like performance art, authenticity suffocates. But then came the most shocking alleged revelation of all. A blind item circulating in elite entertainment circles claims there was tension over an influential executive who became increasingly protective of Teyana's next career phase. Protective in meetings, protective in negotiations, protective in proximity. There is no confirmed romantic link, but insiders claim Aaron felt a subtle territorial shift. Not romantic jealousy, professional displacement. And in Hollywood, power proximity can feel intimate, even when it's not. If he felt edged out of rooms where decisions were being made, if he felt like her orbit was expanding without space for him, that would explain the disappearing narrative. The night the split reportedly became official, there was no screaming, no smashed phones, no public meltdown. Just a quiet acknowledgement that ambition and intimacy were pulling in opposite directions. She deserves someone who can live inside her expansion, Aaron allegedly told a friend. And that sentence? That's not villain language. That's surrender. But surrender still hurts. Because from Teyana's perspective, sources say she felt blindsided by the emotional withdrawal long before the official goodbye. She allegedly believed they were building something stable, grounded, private, real. And to hear that he felt erased inside it, that's a betrayal of perception. Now the internet is divided. Was he brave for leaving before resentment grew toxic? Or did he step away the moment her star burned brighter than his comfort? Because here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. Love between two meteoric careers requires ego management, and ego is the most fragile currency in Hollywood. But this story isn't finished. Because there's one more layer, a private message allegedly sent days after the breakup that hasn't surfaced publicly yet. A message that could completely shift the blame narrative. And if that message leaks, the question won't be why he left. It will be who truly walked away first. The message wasn't supposed to leak. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't angry. It wasn't even long. But according to two separate industry insiders, the private text Aaron allegedly sent days after the breakup is the detail that changes everything. I never asked you to shrink. I just couldn't keep stretching. Stretching. That word hit like a freight train, because stretching implies effort. Stretching implies trying. Stretching implies he was bending himself to fit inside something that kept expanding. And suddenly the narrative flipped from insecure man intimidated by success to exhausted man overwhelmed by acceleration. Sources claim the breakup conversation actually happened in person, not over the phone. A quiet living room. No cameras, no glam, no handlers, just two people sitting in the wreckage of ambition, colliding with affection. And according to someone who says they were told directly by a mutual friend, the final confrontation wasn't explosive. It was devastatingly calm. Teyana allegedly asked one question: "Are you leaving me or are you leaving who I'm becoming?" Silence reportedly filled the room, and Aaron didn't answer immediately. That pause is what insiders say still haunts her. Because sometimes the hesitation says more than the words. Meanwhile, social media has turned into a battlefield. Clips of Teyana, glowing at award events, are being stitched with captions like, "She leveled up and he couldn't handle it." Others are reposting interviews where Aaron speaks about identity and grounding, suggesting he saw this coming long before she did. Then came the alleged voicemail. An unverified account posted a transcript claiming Aaron left a message saying, "I don't recognize myself in this version of us." That line alone has fans spiraling. Because not recognizing yourself in a relationship is code for emotional misalignment. But here's where it gets even darker. Another insider claims there was a specific night, a high-profile industry event, where Aaron felt publicly sidelined. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but visibly. He reportedly arrived with Teyana, but during the evening she was pulled into multiple private conversations with executives, stylists, and directors. He stood nearby, smiling, polite, waiting. And at one point, someone allegedly asked him, "Are you on her team?" On her team. Not "Are you her partner?" Not "Are you together?" On her team. That subtle phrasing reportedly cut deeper than anyone realized. Because when the world starts seeing you as an accessory instead of an equal, ego doesn't whisper. It screams. Insiders say he brought it up later that night, not angrily, but vulnerably. And that's when things cracked. Because from Teyana's perspective, she was hustling, building, seizing momentum in an industry that rarely gives black women prolonged spotlight without resistance. From Aaron's perspective, he felt like he was orbiting her ascent without anchoring his own center. Neither of them were wrong, but neither of them were aligned. Then came the alleged studio incident that people keep referencing in whispers. A heated discussion about a scene in a visual project where Aaron's involvement was reduced during editing. Creative decision. Nothing personal. Except it felt personal. Because if he was already questioning his presence in her world, being edited down visually became symbolic. And symbolism in relationships can be fatal. Sources say that night ended with raised voices and one devastating line allegedly delivered by Teyana. "I can't dim this for you." And that line? That's empowerment. But it's also confrontation. Because if someone feels stretched thin, being told you won't dim doesn't comfort them. It confirms their fear. The internet has also resurrected older interviews where Aaron speaks about valuing privacy, grounded spaces, and intimate circles. Now fans are connecting dots. Was he overwhelmed by her public expansion? Was he uncomfortable with the constant narrative building around their romance? Was the relationship becoming more symbolic than authentic? Meanwhile, celebrity reactions are subtle but strategic. One director tweeted, "Two stars rising at once isn't always romantic. Sometimes it's combustion." An actress close to Teyana posted, "If he feels displaced, let him find his place elsewhere." The tension is palpable even among their circles. But here's the twist no one expected. A mutual friend allegedly claims that Aaron suggested taking a temporary step back before fully ending things. Not a breakup, a pause, a recalibration. And Teyana allegedly rejected it. Firmly. "No half measures," she reportedly said. And that refusal changes the power dynamic. Because if she declined a pause, then the finality wasn't just his. It was mutual. Suddenly, this isn't a man abandoning a woman mid-ascent. It's two people refusing to compromise their trajectory. Still painful, still explosive, but more balanced. Then there's the rumor that keeps resurfacing about the executive who grew increasingly protective of Teyana's career rollout. No evidence of romance, no confirmed impropriety. But insiders say Aaron felt that certain decisions were being made without him being looped in, not because he needed control, but because he wanted partnership. If he felt like conversations about their public narrative were happening around him instead of with him, that erodes trust. And trust erodes quietly before it collapses loudly. The most haunting detail reportedly came from someone who saw Teyana days after the split. She wasn't angry, the source claims. She was disappointed. Disappointed. Not heartbroken in hysterics, not vengeful. Disappointed. Because from her side, she believed love could stretch with ambition. From his side, he believed stretching had limits. Now the fans are choosing sides aggressively. Team he protected his peace, team she refused to shrink. But what if neither is villain? What if timing wasn't PR fluff? What if it was brutal truth? Because here's the reality no one wants to admit. Two highly ambitious people entering simultaneous career peaks is romantic in theory, but in practice it's exhausting. Calendars collide, egos flare, public perception distorts intimacy, and suddenly love feels less like sanctuary and more like negotiation. But the story still isn't finished, because there's one more alleged detail circulating in private circles. A final in-person exchange weeks after the breakup, a conversation that reportedly ended not with closure, but with a revelation. And if what was said in that room becomes public, the narrative won't just shift again. It will detonate completely. The final meeting wasn't planned, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't supposed to matter. But according to two separate sources who claim to have direct knowledge, that last face-to-face conversation changed the entire emotional equation. Weeks after the official breakup. No handlers, no public setting. Just Aaron Pierre and Teyana Taylor sitting across from each other one more time. And this time, the masks were gone. The insiders say the air was heavy but not hostile. There was no screaming, no accusations thrown like weapons. Just two people trying to understand how something that felt aligned spiraled into misalignment. According to a friend close to the situation, Teyana opened the conversation with a line that cut through everything. "Tell me the truth without protecting me." That sentence alone says everything about where she was emotionally, because asking someone not to protect your feelings means you're ready to hear the part that hurts. And allegedly, Aaron didn't hesitate. "I felt like I was building your future, not ours." There it was. The line that reportedly shifted the room from tension to clarity. Building your future, not ours. That's not jealousy, that's displacement. Sources say he explained that somewhere along the way, our decisions stopped feeling collaborative. Appearances became strategic, conversations became scheduled, affection became framed by optics. He allegedly admitted he started questioning whether they were in a relationship or a narrative. And that's when Teyana reportedly responded with something that stunned him. "I never asked you to compete. I asked you to walk with me. Walk with me. Simple. Powerful." But according to insiders, Aaron believed walking had turned into sprinting. He allegedly confessed that he felt pressure to evolve at the same speed she was evolving publicly. That every room she entered felt like a test of his presence, that every article mentioning her awards buzz made him feel like he needed to prove something instead of simply exist. Then came the revelation no one saw coming. Aaron reportedly admitted that he didn't just feel overwhelmed by her rise, he felt exposed by it. Exposed. Because being with someone at that level meant constant visibility, constant speculation, constant scrutiny over whether he deserved the seat beside her. And when one outlet ran a headline implying he was Teyana's new accessory, insiders say it affected him more than he admitted at the time. Not because he doubted his own worth, but because he didn't want to be positioned as secondary in anyone's story. Meanwhile, Teyana reportedly revealed her own silent struggle. She allegedly told him she had been fighting off whispers from industry figures who questioned whether their relationship was distracting her momentum. Distracting her. That word stunned him. Because from his side, he was trying to support. From hers, she was being warned. If that's true, then both of them were absorbing external pressure while trying to maintain internal intimacy. That's not just hard. That's nearly impossible. The conversation reportedly turned emotional when Aaron admitted one more thing. "I was scared I'd resent you." Resent. Not because of success, but because of imbalance. He allegedly feared that staying while feeling stretched thin would eventually turn admiration into quiet bitterness. And rather than let that rot the foundation, he chose to leave while he still respected her. That decision, if true, reframes the breakup entirely. Not abandonment, prevention. But here's the twist that detonated the room. Teyana reportedly said she never wanted him to match her pace. She wanted him to trust his own. And that misunderstanding? That's what shattered them. Because he believed he needed to accelerate, she believed he only needed to stand firm. 2 interpretations. 1 collapse. Sources say the meeting ended not with anger but with grief. Not dramatic tears, not shouting, just a long silence. And then one final exchange. "I'll always root for you," he reportedly said. "I know," she allegedly replied. "I just wish you stayed." That's not scandal. That's tragedy. But the internet doesn't thrive on tragedy. It thrives on villains. And without a clear one, fans are scrambling to assign blame. Some are accusing Aaron of insecurity. Others are accusing Teyana of prioritizing optics over intimacy. Celebrity reactions continue to drip in subtle waves. One singer posted, "Sometimes love ends not because it's broken, but because it's mismatched timing." Another actor tweeted, "Ego isn't loud," or "It's fragile." No names mentioned, but the timing was surgical. Meanwhile, blind items continue to swirl about the executive presence in Teyana's orbit. Still no confirmed wrongdoing, but insiders insist that perception alone can erode comfort in a relationship. If Aaron felt sidelined by power proximity, if Teyana felt pressured by external advisors to minimize personal attachments, then this wasn't a breakup caused by lack of love. It was a breakup caused by misaligned survival strategies. And that's far more complicated. The most heartbreaking detail. According to a close source, they did not leave that final meeting with hostility. They left with unresolved affection, which is infinitely harder than leaving with anger. Because anger creates distance, affection creates echo, and echoes linger. Now the narrative stands at a crossroads. Was Aaron brave for stepping away before resentment formed? Was Teyana justified in refusing to dim or slow her ascent? Or were they both victims of a system that magnifies ambition and minimizes vulnerability? One thing is undeniable. The breakup was not about cheating. It was not about betrayal. It was about pace, presence, perception, and the quiet fear of becoming secondary in someone else's evolution. And in Hollywood, that fear can be louder than love. The only question left hanging in the air now is this. If their paths cross again when the spotlight shifts, will the timing finally align? Or will ambition always outpace intimacy? Because if there's one thing this entire saga exposed, it's this. Sometimes the truth isn't explosive, it's just painfully human. And that hurts more than any scandal ever could. So now you've heard everything. Not the PR version, not the sugar-coated busy schedules headline, the real tension, the ego fears, the "I was disappearing," the "I can't dim this," the final meeting that ended in quiet heartbreak instead of chaos. This wasn't a cheating scandal, this wasn't betrayal, this was ambition colliding with intimacy in real time. And honestly, that might be even more devastating. So I need you to sound off. Was Aaron Pierre protecting his peace or protecting his pride? Did Teyana Taylor refuse to shrink or refuse to slow down? And if timing is everything, do you think they met at the wrong chapter or ended too soon? Drop your unfiltered take in the comments right now. Don't hold back. The smartest, boldest opinions always rise to the top. And this debate is far from over. Hit that like button if you want more deep dives that go beyond the headlines and into the emotional layers nobody else is talking about. Subscribe immediately, Because if either of them speaks again, if a real interview drops, if one cryptic post hits Instagram, it could flip this entire narrative overnight. Turn on notifications, because in Hollywood, silence never lasts. And if this story taught us anything, it's that the next revelation is always one conversation away.